What are Israel's core strategic objectives in confronting Iran? And what military or diplomatic pathways might realistically allow Israel to achieve them? A very
Well,
short question.
yeah, very short. Well, Israel's war with Iran, we have to start. It's a war of choice, initiated opportunistically by Israel at this moment. Israel saw an opportune moment to strike. It's not motivated by an imminent threat of Iranian aggression or the very long-term nuclear issues that have been here for a long time. Or the ballistic missiles and the proxy militias that were, understandably parts of the critique of the first Iran deal under Obama in 2015. The critique for this deal was that it was focused exclusively on the nuclear issues, but ignoring ballistic missiles or proxy militias throughout the region. So Iran has been framed as that threat at the time, over time, but it has to be said that Israel chose this moment because it thought or calculated that the moment is opportune. Iran is weaker for some reason. And we are yet to see if that's a proper calculation or not. But that is it. It's a war of choice. It's because it's opportunistically possible to prosecute it. Israel began strikes in the Iranian territory, and the United States has been drawn in. I don't think that was United States war. It's Israel's persuasive prime minister that pitched this idea that he has been pitching for over 20 years now, since the war in Iraq. And the idea of the axis of evil, Iraq, Iran, North Korea, as if one by one we have to tackle them. And definitely after Iraq, that Iran sequel was put on a long pause, and now it's as if he managed to say, this is the moment, let's go for it. And so did the United States, participating in a conflict that was fundamentally Israel's decision. The core strategic objective goes beyond this idea of neutralizing Iranian missiles or drones or the nuclear capacity, because that was even dealt with in the June attack anyway. And that was definitely a surprise for all analysts and most analysts anyway, and definitely to Iran. But what Israel seeks now is regional dominance, regional hegemony, regional presence, not within its borders, not the right of Israel to exist, dealing with the Palestinians. No, it is about having a moment where regional dominance and presence from Iran, Iraq, to Syria, to Lebanon, to the Gulf, to the Horn of Africa, it's effectively possible, and that is what Netanyahu is going for. I would even say that it's probably in one scenario, maybe extreme scenario right now, but we will see. I think it would even hope to replace the United States as the primary security guarantor in the Middle East. I can imagine, I can see it, maybe it never happens, but I can imagine even Israel manning these very US bases long-term in the future from now, where Israel, with the United States withdraws, it's not physically present, but having delegated to Israel this mission or task. Israel's strategy is increasingly informed by ideological and theocratic frameworks. It's no longer just security in the secular nationalist terms of affairs. We've seen that represented in these biblical reference of the promised land, but not only the land of Israel, but almost the land of Abraham, which is with Abraham's sons, Isaac and Ishmael, but only as if to the Isaac descendants of the family. And we've seen that in public discourse and political discourse, even with Ambassador Huckabee in his latest interview with Tucker Carlson. So as there is a trend here about merging the national security discourse with very biblical and holy war type of opportune historical imperatives. This is the moment to do something big and historical that we see from Israel's side. On the military side, Israel relies on preemptive strikes, intelligence-driven operations, missile suppression to degrade Iran's capabilities. But and it's working so far. We see even a drop in Iran's ability to respond through its missiles. But Iran's infrastructure is deep and dispersed and resilient, and it might show us surprises. So, in terms of military strategy here, it's still happening, but the retaliatory missile and drone strikes, including attacks on Dubai and Abu Dhabi, show that Iran will not go down quietly. And I personally had predicted a month ago that if this war is to start, definitely cities in the Gulf, Arab cities, particularly Dubai and Abu Dhabi, would be hit. We would see all these images. It's as if I pre-saw that. And the reason is these countries are not seen to be off the hook by simply saying we'll not allow the United States to use our space or bases. It can use it from other assets, and we were just going to watch. Iran wouldn't let them watch. And I think that was part of the calculation from Israel's side. It was aware of this risk to the Arab Gulf states, but that was a risk Israel is willing to take. I don't know if the Arab Gulf states were fully aware of what was to happen, but definitely Israel was somewhat aware, and that was a risk willing to take. Still, it was opportune. So the military pathways are there. Whether they will be sufficient to achieve these broader strategic objectives or not, we'll see. But diplomatic pathways, in theory, might exist. We might have some negotiated containment or regional security frameworks, some agreements, but I don't see it happening anytime very soon, because Israel's domestic politics and position are of a hawkish position, and they think they're winning. And so I would veer towards more of the militaristic solution so far. So finally, this war has already dragged the United States. I think the United States, President Trump in particular, assumed it's a quick, manageable campaign, a Venezuela model that he authored and patented perhaps, but the reality is different. The US forces are defending the Gulf bases, intercepting missiles, doing all these management, while Israeli objectives are pursued using US resources. And I think that the future would be that maybe Israel would say, okay, US, get out of it, we'll man the whole thing, we'll manage the whole thing, and we're capable of doing that. So there might be a twist in the events where the United States withdraws from the war, but the war continues in the Middle East, and those players within the Middle East are the ones to participate and take the brunt of it.
All right. That has been one of the most interesting and scariest comments I've heard from a participant in one of these in a very long time. The idea of Qatar allowing the Israeli Air Force to occupy and use El Udeid is something I have to think of for a little bit.
I'm not necessarily saying allowing, by the way.
Yeah, I understand.